So hello guys, welcome to Max Opacity. So this scene right here was created in Blender using free and 3D assets from Sketchfab and CG traders. So this was inspired by channels like Fern, Hogg, Neo, and other channels that make 3D explainer videos. And I've decided to learn Blender, so I decided to bring you guys on my journey while I'm learning. So some of the animations you see here might not be accurate, and if you know any way I can improve on it, let me know down in the comments below. But so without wasting much time, let's get into it. So all the assets used in this tutorial, like I said before, were free, and I'll also put a link down in the description below for you to download and follow my tutorial. And this is not a beginner's tutorial, though if you download Blender and you follow my tutorial step by step, you'll be able to recreate this. And if you have any question, just let me know. So let's get into it. So the first thing we need to do is go down to blender.org and download Blender. If you don't have Blender yet, go ahead and download it. The version I'm using here is 4.5, which is the most stable version we have right now. So go ahead and download that, and once you've downloaded it and installed it, let's get into the tutorial. So once you open Blender, you're going to be met with this display right here. So just click anywhere to remove this background here. So next, I'm just going to highlight all of this default cube and camera and light we have here and press delete. So before we go forward into the tutorial, if you want to support me, please like and subscribe to see more tutorials like this. And if you want to support me further, you can donate on Buy Me a Coffee or on Patreon. No amount is too small. I really appreciate that. It helps me keep making tutorials like this. So thank you, and let's get into it. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to import our asset here. So first we're going to start with the living room or the entire building. So this folder here is what I will be linking down in the description for you to follow. And I'm going to go into the living room here. This is the JLB file. Blender has different file format, but I downloaded the JLB format. Like I said, this is not a beginner's tutorial. So if you want a beginner tutorial, watch the Blender Guru, the donuts tutorial. So next, I'm going to drag this living room into Blender here, then press import. So the asset I downloaded is really big. So before we even move anything or do anything, we need to scale this down. So to scale down in Blender, all you need to do is press X on your keyboard. Then this arrow here will come out, or this stroke will come out. Then just move your mouse to scale it down. Then you can see the scale moving down on the right hand side there. So I'm just going to scale this down to around 150. This is okay, and now we need to zoom in to see better. The render view we are looking at now is a solid render view without any material, or what this is not the final state of what it will look like. To see what it will look like, we need to go to the materials view. This is not the final render though, because we don't have any light, but it gives you a view of what your model will look like on the final render. To see your final render, you need to go down to this third option here, which is your rendered view. But because we don't have any lights or any other light source in the scene, it's dark, but we'll get to that later in the tutorial. So let's go back to this solid material. So once you've done that, the next thing we need to do is this background right here is supposed to be like a landscape behind this window here. So we need to move it to the back. It's not overly necessary, but it's nice to do that. So to move an object in Blender, just like scale, to move an object, you need to grab your object. So for a more precise movement, you need to grab them, then click the axis where you want to move them. Like this red stroke here, or this red line here, is the x-axis. This and green one here is the y-axis, while an invisible one is running from up to down. That is the z-axis. That's from top to bottom. So I need to move this to place it behind this window here. So what I'll do is I'll press G on my keyboard, then press X to move it outside first. Then to rotate this, you press R. So I need to rotate it on the Y and on the z-axis. So I'll press Y like this. Oh, but before we do that, so that it rotates properly from the middle of our object here, I'll go down to objects, because it's just like an anchor point in After Effects. this is where the anchor point is because of the way we downloaded our model here, but I need to move it to the middle of our object. So I'll go to object. Why this model is selected, make sure you select this, go to object, then go to set origin, then origin to center of max volume. So now our object, the anchor point of our object, I'll just say that, but here it's origin, it's in the middle. So I'll press R and Z, and I see it rotates in the middle like that. So once you have that, I'll go back to G, then Y to move it here. Now we have something like this. Now you can see that from the window it looks like a landscape, or outside of our building is covered with other houses there. So let's move on to the next part of the tutorial. I'll move this back to the solid render view, because the more you render, the more power it takes to render something out. So next I'm going to go down to my folder again. Then this time I'm going to import this gaming room, which is like half of a full gaming room. So I'm just going to drag this in, then click import. So whatever we import, so so you can see that what we've imported is at the middle of this junction between this green and red. So that's the center of our world in Blender. So whatever you import will appear here first. So using the example I showed you, I'm going to grab this and move it inside the room, then rotate it to fit properly exactly where I want. So like I showed you before, I'm just going to use G and then press X to move it in. Then make sure you click your right mouse button to OK it, your left mouse button I mean. Then press G again, Z to move it up. So I'm just going to swap and go inside like this. So I'm going to rotate this to face. I want to place it behind, just across this wall right here. So I'm just going to press R and Z to rotate this. So once you're satisfied with the movement, just click off and OK it. Then next I'm going to delete some of these walls here. So just click on it so that it will select the individual wall. Then just press delete. And I'm going to do the same thing for it. So we have just this painting here and the rest of them. So this is okay. So the next two assets I'm going to be bringing in is this generic male figure that I downloaded from Mixamo. So Mixamo has a lot of characters that you can download and use in your animations or games, as you can see from here. So I just downloaded this one. So I just downloaded this particular character from here, that you can see. And I'm also going to download another one, this SWAT guy. That this one is already animated, and why I'm downloading this animated one is because I don't want to start rigging my own character. I don't want to download a generic one then start rigging it into this position, because I'm still learning Blender and it will take me a lot of time to do this. So what I did is I will download this one, then delete the keyframe so that it will only just stand like this, with as if it's holding a gun. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's get into Blender back. So inside of Blender, I'm going to go back to my folder here, and you can see the generic male figure is Leonard from Mixamo. I'm just going to drag that in and import it. So I'm going to move it to the front of our building, and I'm going to scale this up a bit like this. I might scale it higher later when I compare it inside the building. But the first thing I need to do is, I don't want the skin, this particular skin right here that looks like a human skin. I want it to be something generic, something like as if it's not textured, a low poly texture. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select this face here. So if you select the face, it will also select the hands, and I'll go down to the material option. This is the material menu here, and I'm just going to, this is the material, and I'm going to press X to delete it. Now we have this kind of white texture on it, which is, so this is what we're going to be using. So, and you also notice that this character also comes with a bone, so, and it's a bit rigged, not like the next one we're going to bring in. So I'm just going to delete the keyframes here to remove any rigged material on it. So the next thing we're going to do is to position the hands so that it looks like it's taking its hands up to surrender. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. So before we start the rigging, I'm just going to scale this down again. So I'm just going to scale it down to 14. Then once you scale it down to 14, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to select this bone right here. Go down to this object, click on this object to bring up this extra menu, and then go to post mode. This is where we are going to rig it. So to rig this, and I'm going to go to this viewport display, and I want the bones to be in front. So click in front so that we can see the bones in front like this. So it always appears in front of our character. So another thing you need to do, go down to this arrow icon here, then click on rotate. So this is our gizmo that will show us where we are rotating our animations to. So I'm just going to select this whole arm here, then this white one, left click, then move it up like this. Then on select, then select just these two bones here, the bones from the arms to the elbow, then rotate it even further. I think I'm going to reduce the full rotation. So I'm going to do this till I have something perfect. So next I'm going to select these two here, then use this blue to rotate it forward like this. Then also rotate it back like this. And this looks okay. I'm going to do the same thing to this one. I wish I could just copy from here, and I wish I can just copy this arm from here and put it here, but that might take a lot of time and I don't even know how to do it. So I'm just going to do it manually. So once you're satisfied with your rig, I'm just going to move this inside the building. So to do that, make sure you go back to object mode. Select your character like this, and I'm going to change the view display port, the viewport display from front. Then also remove this gizmo. So next I'm going to import the SWAT or the police officers. So I'm just going to see, this is one of them here. I'm just going to bring it in, and you can see the keyframes I told you about. So I'm just going to go here and move it to the front so that we can see it properly. I'm going to scale this to 14 or 15. 15 is okay, and you can see that if I move through our timeline here, it's kind of, there's a little bit of an animation. So I'm just going to delete this keyframe here. You can even leave the animation if you want, because it's not much, but I'm just going to delete the keyframes. Then next I'm going to move them, just position them in front of our building here, so that it looks like they are pointing their gun on Leo here. I'm going to import the second one that is kneeling, pistol kneeling. So this one looks like it's holding a pistol. So once you have them positioned, the next thing I'm going to do, which I'm not going to do on this tutorial here because it's a bit hard to position it, I'm going to bring in like a gun. Let me see if I have that here. I'm going to bring in this AR-15 gun here and position them on their hands. I'll do that, but I'll have to speed through it. But let's move on to like the final part of our animation. So the next thing we need to do is add our light and our camera to this scene. So first we'll add the light. So to do this, first we'll go down to our final render here, then go to add, then add light. We'll use a point light for this. So I'm just going to press G to move it, and you can also see the effect of the light here. I'm just going to move it as if it's coming from the ceiling inside. Something like this is okay. So the light is not very bright. To do this, I'm going to increase the intensity of the light. So go down to this data here for our lights. Because our light is selected, you can see this icon here. So I'm just going to increase this to around 150 or so, or 170 is okay. You can increase the exposure. You can increase the exposure and more, and even the temperature. You can change the temperature. You can change the color to something like this, but we don't need that. We'll leave it as it is. We'll leave it as white like this. Then this is okay. And again, we'll add another light. We'll add a sunlight. Well, it's not going to be a very bright sunlight. I want to put something behind so that a bit of light is coming from outside. So I'm just going to grab this, put this outside here. So this icon here shows the direction where the light is coming from. So I'm just going to position it so that it's directly inside our house here. So make sure you go around and do this like this. So I can reduce the strength of the light so it doesn't come out too much, or you can do whatever you want with it. So finally, let's add a camera to this. So go to add again, then add the camera. So our camera position is behind, move it to the front. So to see the view of our camera, we need to press O on your keypad here, and this is what you'll show. And don't worry about the bones, it doesn't show in the final render once you render it out. So to control the camera movement, you can use your G and the rest of them to move it, but to have a more precise rotation and control, we'll use these positions here. So there are even different camera settings that we can do, and I'm going to change this to cycle because it has a more realistic render. I'm going to change this to GPU. If you don't have a GPU, you can leave it as CPU and all. And I'm going to reduce our sample size here, because the more the sample size, the more time it takes to render out. So I'm just going to reduce this to around maybe 100. And also do the same thing for this one. Maybe I'll leave this one around 150. So it takes a long time to render, as you can see here. But I'm going to go back to this so that it doesn't slow down our camera movement. So while your camera is still selected, you can use this to create a movement. So I'm just going to position this here, which is something similar to what I did. So once you've done that, press these icons here to add keyframes. I will even set keyframes for the rotation. I don't know if I might need it. Then I'm going to go forward to around 30 seconds here. Then move my camera in like this. Then make sure you click here to set the keyframe. It doesn't set automatically. Then I'm going to go forward a bit to set a hold keyframe for everything. Then go to around maybe 60. Then zoom into building like this. Like this. So make sure you click here to add the keyframes. So this is what we have. So it's a bit fast, so I'm just going to spread the keyframes to reduce this to so because the a lot of things are happening in the animation now, it takes time for it to fully render. So if you have any questions, let me know, and if you want more details about the tutorial, you can ask me, or you can chat me up on Instagram or send me an email. And please, if this tutorial or if any of my tutorials have been helpful in any way, please like and subscribe. And you can also support me on Buy Me a Coffee or on Patreon, or send me an email if you want to support me personally. Thank you, and see you in the next tutorial.